Welcome back. Tonight, we are turning down the volume on the chaos to explore the single most terrifying frequency a narcissist can experience. Absolute silence. You have spent years drowning in their noise, the shouting, the gaslighting, the circular arguments that spun your brain into a blender. You learned to JADE, justify, argue, defend, explain, until your throat was raw. But the moment you stop talking is the moment the real psychological warfare begins. This isn't about the silent treatment, which is a manipulative tool of abuse. This is about the strategic silence of the survivor. We're going to expose what happens inside the narcissist's mind when the audience leave the theater. The lights go out, and they're left alone in the dark with the one person they despise most, themselves. You have likely asked yourself the haunting question that lingers after you go no contact or gray rock. Does my silence even matter to them? You see them posting happy photos, acting unbothered, perhaps even mocking your withdrawal. It feels like they have erased you. But I am here to tell you that this is a cinematic lie. The narcissist's indifference is a performance. Your silence is a weapon of mass destruction against their ego. They are not relieved by your absence. They are starving. Silence is not empty space to a narcissist. It is a vacuum. And nature abhors a vacuum. Your silence is sucking the oxygen out of their false reality, and they are currently gasping for air. To understand the power of silence, you must understand the architecture of the narcissist. They are not self-sustaining entities. They are psychological parasites that require an external host to regulate their self-esteem, their emotions, and their very identity. Your reaction, whether it was love, hate, screaming, or crying, was their fuel. It proved they existed. It proved they were powerful. When you go silent, you cut the fuel line. You are not just ending a conversation. You are initiating a famine. The silence speaks louder than words because it screams, "You no longer exist in me." And for a narcissist, that is a fate worse than death. They perceive your silence as an act of supreme aggression. In their twisted worldview, they are entitled to your attention. They believe they own your thoughts and your voice. When you withhold them, they don't see it as you protecting your peace. They see it as you stealing their property. This triggers a narcissistic injury of the highest order. They feel rejected, humiliated, and ignored. The silence acts as a mirror. Without your noise to distract them, they are forced to look into that mirror, and they are terrified of the emptiness staring back at them. The silence disrupts their control panel. Narcissists are master manipulators who rely on your predictability. They push button A to get reaction B. They insult you to make you cry. They love bomb you to make you fawn. When they push the button and get nothing, the machine breaks. They panic. They press the button harder. They smash the control panel. Your silence is a glitch in their matrix that they cannot code around. It renders their entire toolkit of manipulation obsolete in a single second. You have removed yourself from the game board, and they are left moving pawns against a ghost. They start to hallucinate your intent. Because they cannot process the idea that you are simply done, they project their own malice onto your silence. They convince themselves you are plotting, scheming, or punishing them. They become paranoid. What is she doing? Who is he talking to? Why isn't this working? Your silence becomes a blank canvas onto which they paint their worst fears. They fill the quiet with their own insecurities, creating a monster out of your absence that haunts them day and night. You might fear that your silence confirms their smear campaign, that by not defending yourself, you are letting them win. But listen closely. The narcissist needs you to defend yourself. They need the fight. The fight validates the drama. When you are silent, their smear campaign loses its villain. They are left punching the air. People eventually notice that one person is screaming, and the other is living their life. Your silence creates a contrast that makes them look unhinged. You are winning the war of public opinion simply by refusing to show up to the battle. The silence forces them to sit with their internal void. This is the secret hell of the narcissist. Deep down, beneath the grandiosity, there's a black hole of shame and worthlessness. They use your reactions to fill that hole. Without your energy, the void expands. It begins to consume them. They feel a sense of existential dread, a feeling that they are dissolving. This is why they can't be alone. This is why they need the TV on. The phone in hand, the constant stimulation. Your silence turns off the distractions and forces them to face the abyss. They interpret silence as the ultimate discard. Narcissists are terrified of abandonment. It is their primal wound. Usually, they discard you first to avoid this pain. But when you go silent, you are discarding them. You are firing them from the job of being the center of your universe. This reverses the power dynamic instantly. The predator becomes a prey of their own loneliness. They realize, perhaps for the first time, that they are not the main character. They were just a guest in your reality, and their lease has expired. As we open this dossier on their breakdown, remember, your voice was precious. You wasted it trying to explain empathy to a stone. Now, you are reclaiming it. Your silence is not a sign of weakness. It is a roar of a survivor who has finally realized their own worth. The narcissist hears this roar and it terrifies them. Let's step inside their mind and watch the collapse. We must dissect the mechanics of supply deprivation. To a narcissist, attention is not a want. It is a biological need, like glucose is to the brain. We call this narcissistic supply. Positive supply admiration is preferred, but negative supply, your anger, your defense, is acceptable. It all serves the same function. It reflects a self-image back to them. When you go silent, you starve them. Physically, their cortisol spikes. Their adrenaline surges. They enter a state of withdrawal similar to a heroin addict going cold turkey. They are shaking, sweating, and panicked, desperate for a fix of your emotion. They suffer from a failure of object constancy. In a healthy brain, you can hold the image of a person and your bond with them even when they are not present or when you are fighting. Narcissists lack this. If you are not present in validating them, you cease to exist as a good object and become a bad object or simply disappear. Your silence threatens their sense of continuity. They feel like they are ceasing to exist because you are not there to witness them. They need a witness to be real. Without you, they are a tree falling in the forest with no one around to hear it. Does a narcissist even make a sound? The echo chamber collapses. Narcissists surround themselves with echoes, people who repeat their lies, validate their delusions, and mirror their false self. You are likely the main echo. When you go silent, the echo stops. They scream, "I am great," and the silence replies with nothing. This lack of feedback is disorienting. They start to doubt their own narrative. If I am so powerful, why can't I make them answer? The silence exposes a lie of their omnipotence. They experience paranoid ideation. Silence is ambiguous. It can mean anything. To a guilty conscience, it means judgment, because a narcissist knows what they did to you, even if they deny it. They assume your silence is a verdict. They imagine you're building a legal case, exposing them to the world, or laughing at them with a new partner. They project their own vindictiveness onto you. They spend hours stalking your social media, trying to decode the silence, looking for a hidden message that isn't there. The internal critic takes the microphone. The narcissist has suppressed a deep-seated voice of self-loathing for their entire life. They drown it out with your praise or your pain. When you are silent, the volume of the internal critic turns up to 11. It starts whispering, "You are a fraud. You are unlovable. You are alone." They can't escape this voice. It is inside the house. They try to run from it, but your silence has locked the doors. They lose their container. You acted as a psychological container for their toxic emotions. When they felt shame, they projected it onto you and made you feel ashamed. When they felt rage, they provoked you until you were angry. You carried their garbage. Silence puts a lid on the container. They try to hand you the trash, and you don't take it. They are forced to hold their own toxic waste. It begins to poison them from the inside out. They become sick with their own unprocessed negativity. The grandiosity bubble bursts. Their false self is a balloon that needs constant inflation. Your attention was the air pump. Without it, the balloon shrivels. They look in the mirror and don't see the king or queen. They see a sad, aging, bitter person. This reality check is devastating. They feel small. For a narcissist, feeling small is the ultimate humiliation. They will do anything to reinflate the bubble. But without your compliance, the rubber stays flat. They feel a loss of territorial control. Narcissists view partners as territory they have conquered. Your silence is a border wall going up. It signifies that they have been evicted from the territory. They feel a primal rage at this loss of ownership. They view your autonomy as an insurrection. How dare the colony declare independence? They obsess over regaining the territory not because they missed a connection, but because they hate losing the asset. They engage in frantic hoarding. Realizing they are starving, they scramble to find new sources of supply. But grooming a new main supply takes time and energy. They might reach out to exes, casual acquaintances, or strangers, trying to get quick hits of validation, but it's low-quality supply. It's like eating junk food when you're used to a gourmet meal. It doesn't satisfy the deep hunger. They remain malnourished and irritable. Ultimately, the silence triggers existential terror. The narcissist is a construct, a fiction suit worn by a damaged child. The fiction needs an audience to be real. Without the audience, the fiction dissolves, and the damaged child is left alone in the dark. This is the breakdown. It is the moment the movie projector breaks, and they are left staring at a blank white screen, realizing there is no movie, no star, and no plot. Just nothing. The turning point arrives when the narcissist realizes the silent treatment is not a tactic you are using to get them change. It is a permanent lifestyle. At first, they interpret your silence as a game. They think, she's just pouting. He'll be back in a week. They wait with arrogant confidence. But as the days turn into weeks and the weeks into months, the arrogance cracks. The realization hits them like a cold wave. This isn't a pause. This is the end. The shift from arrogance to panic is the pivot point of their breakdown. Watch for the extinction burst. In psychology, this is when a behavior spikes in intensity just before it dies out. When their usual manipulation tactics fail, they don't give up, they double down. They will blow up your phone. They will show up at your house. They will threaten self-harm. They will send gifts. They will send hateful emails. They are throwing an entire kitchen sink at you, try and provoke any reaction. It is a chaotic, desperate fireworks display. Do not be fooled. This is not power. This is the death throes of their control. The Hoover becomes manic. They switch masks rapidly. One minute they're the weeping child. I can't live without you. The next a raging tyrant. You're ruining my life. The next a cool friend. Can we just talk? They are cycling through every character in their repertoire to see which one unlocks the door. It is a terrifying performance to watch when you are detached. You realize they have no core personality. They are just a shapeshifter trying to find the right key. They attempt triangulation by proxy. Since they cannot reach you directly, they use others. They will cry to your friends, your family, or even your boss. I'm just so worried about her. He's acting so strange. They try to weaponize your loved ones to break your silence. They want you to hear about their suffering. They want you to break no contact to defend your reputation. This is a trap. If you respond to the flying monkeys, you are responding to the narcissist. The supernova event occurs. If the hoovering fails, the narcissist may explode. They might destroy your property, leak private photos, or launch a scorched earth legal battle. This is pure, unadulterated rage born of impotence. They are trying to force you to acknowledge them through destruction. If you won't love me, you will hate me, but you will not ignore me. This is dangerous, but it is also the ultimate sign of their defeat. They have burned the bridge because they know they can never cross it again. They descend into stalker mode. The silence is a mystery they must solve. They create fake profiles to watch your stories. They drive by your workplace. They track your Venmo transactions. They are gathering intel to feed their obsession. They are looking for signs that you are miserable without them. When they see you smiling, thriving, or simply existing peacefully, it causes a glitch in their brain. How can the moon shine without the sun? They feign a medical emergency. This is a classic turning point tactic. A sudden hospitalization, a cancer scare, a car accident. It is designed to bypass your boundaries by appealing to your empathy. I know we aren't talking, but I thought you should know. It is a test. If you break silence with the emergency, they know they still own your guilt. If you remain silent, or send a car without engaging. They realize the emotional cord is truly severed. The smear campaign becomes incoherent. In the beginning, their lies might have been calculated. Now, in their panic, the lies become wild and unbelievable. They accuse you of things that make no sense. They contradict themselves. They tell one person you were the love of their life, and the next that you were a stalker. They are flailing. People start to notice the inconsistency. The silence makes you look dignified. The noise makes them look unstable. They experience a collapse of functioning. The stress of the breakdown starts to affect their daily life. They might start drinking heavily, missing work, or neglecting their hygiene. The energy required to maintain the facade while starving for supply is too much. The mask is slipping in public. They snap at the waitress. They cry at the bar. The world starts to see the cracks that only you saw behind closed doors. Ultimately, they realize their relevance. This is the plot twist they never saw coming. They thought they were the protagonist of your life. The turning point concludes with the crushing knowledge that they are merely a footnote in your history. You are moving on. The world is turning, and they are stuck in the past, screaming at a ghost. The silence has solidified into a wall they cannot climb. We now enter the narcissistic collapse. This is a state where the narcissist can no longer uphold their false self. It is a psychological implosion. Without your supply, and having failed to secure a replacement of equal value, they disintegrate. They become deeply depressed, anxious, and lethargic. It is not a sadness born of remorse. It is a sadness born of failure. They are a predator who has lost their teeth. They retreat into a dark room, literally and metaphorically, to lick their wounds. They become the victim of everything. In the collapse phase, the narcissist cannot accept responsibility, so they blame the universe. God, the government, their boss, their exes. Everyone is conspiring against them. They wallow in a swamp of self-pity. Why does this always happen to me? They become bitter and repellent. Anyone who tries to help them is bitten. They are drowning, but they are pulling their rescuers down with them. The social exile begins. People naturally drift away from negativity. The narcissist, now devoid of charm and radiating toxicity, repels their social circle. Friends get tired of the same old complaints. The new supply, if there is one, gets exhausted by the constant neediness and rage. The narcissist ends up isolated. They sit in their home, surrounded by the echoes of the people they drove away, convinced that the world is cold, not realizing they are the ice. They engage in reckless self-sabotage. The internal chaos manifests externally. They might gamble away their savings, get a DUI, or cheat openly. They are chasing dopamine hits to numb the pain of the void. They are trying to feel something other than the nothingness. This reckless behavior often leads to real-world consequences. Legal issues, job loss, financial ruin, which they then use as further proof of their victimhood. The mask of sanity falls off completely. If you were to see them now, you might not recognize them. The narcissistic scowl becomes their permanent expression. They look aged, haggard, and angry. The light behind their eyes is gone, replaced by a dull, flat deadness or a manic, feral glint. They stop trying to hide their nature. They are openly rude, openly entitled, openly cruel. The monster is no longer wearing a human suit. They suffer from intrusive thoughts. In the silence you left behind, their mind is flooded with memories, not of love, but of injury. They obsess over the moment you walked away. They obsess over the things you said. They replay the tape over and over, try to find a way to win the argument in their head. They are trapped in a time loop, haunted by the ghost of their failure to control you. The new supply becomes a punching bag. If they manage to trap someone new, that person is suffering. The narcissist is taking out all their rage at you on the new partner. The honeymoon phase is skipped entirely. The abuse is immediate and severe. They are punishing the new supply for not being you and for not fixing them. This leads to a rapid cycle of churn, with partners entering and leaving through a revolving door trauma. They experience physical manifestations. The body keeps the score, even for a narcissist. The chronic rage and stress lead to high blood pressure, heart issues, autoimmune flare-ups, or insomnia. They are physically rotting from the inside out. The toxicity they spewed at you has nowhere to go. so it corrodes their own vessel. They are sick with their own bile. They stare into the abyss. In moments of solitude, late at night, the narcissist faces a terrifying truth. They are hollow. They have no hobbies, no passions, no real connections, no soul. They are a collection of reactions and defenses. The realization that they have wasted their life playing a game they ultimately lost is a heavy, crushing weight. They are terrified of death because they know they have never truly lived. Ultimately, they are rendered powerless. The silence proved that they needed you more than you needed them. The collapse is the physical evidence of their dependency. They are a king without a kingdom, a general without an army, a god without a believer. They are just a sad, broken person sitting in the rubble of their own ego, waiting for an applause that will never come. But here is a final truth you need to integrate. You did not cause this collapse. You simply stopped holding them up. For years, you were the scaffolding that kept their false self from crumbling. You carried their emotional load. You validated their delusions. You sacrificed your spine to keep them standing. When you walked away, you didn't knock them down. You just removed the artificial support. Gravity did the rest. Your silence is not cruel. It is divine intervention. By removing your supply, you force them to face themselves. It is the only chance, however slim, they have for self-reflection. You couldn't save them with love. You couldn't save them with logic. Your silence is the only honest mirror they have ever looked into. Whether they learn from it or look away is not your burden to carry. You have reclaimed your sovereignty. The silence has built a fortress around your soul. Inside that fortress, you are safe. You are healing. You are remembering who you were before the noise began. The peace you feel is not empty. It is full. It is full of possibility, full of creativity, full of you. You have taken back the keys to your own mind. Do not break the silence to check on the rubble. It is tempting to look back, to see if they are sorry, to see if they are suffering. Do not do it. If you look back, you turn to stone. If you break the silence, you give them oxygen. Let the collapse happen. Let the dust settle. You have a horizon to chase, and you cannot run forward while looking backward. Understand that indifference is the opposite of love, not hate. Hate is still connection. Hate is still passion. Silence leads to indifference. There will come a day when you don't care if they are collapsing or thriving. You won't care what they're doing at all. They will just be a stranger with a familiar face. That is the finish line. Your voice is for you now. Use it to tell your story. Use it to set boundaries. Use it to laugh. Use it to sing. Do not waste another breath explaining yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you. Your voice is a precious resource. Invest it in people who listen. Invest it in your own future. The narcissist is stuck in a loop. You are on a spiral. They are repeating the same patterns, the same mistakes, the same miseries. You are evolving. You are climbing. The silence was the moment you stepped off the hamster wheel. You're walking on solid ground now, and the path goes up. You are the lighthouse. You stood firm against the storm. The waves crashed. The wind howled, but you did not crumble. Now the storm has passed, and you are still standing. Your light is shining for yourself, guiding you home. You survived the noise. Now enjoy the quiet. Take a deep breath. Listen to that. That is the sound of your own heartbeat. That is the sound of peace. It is the most beautiful sound in the world. Protect it. Cherish it. It belongs to you. Thank you for watching. If you found power in this silence, hit the like button and subscribe. Share this with a survivor who needs to know that walking away is the ultimate victory. The narcissist wanted to silence you, but in the end, your silence defeated them. You are free. I'll see you in the next one.